Pohudui Jan Nitai Gaura Chandra Parama Karuna Shabbatada Shashiromani Kebala Ananda Khanda Kebala Ananda Khanda Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Shudrida Vishashakori Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Shudrida Vishashakori Nidai Shudri Vishaya Chariya Shegroshe Macheya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Vishaya Chariya Shegroshe Machiya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari Parama Karuna Pohudui Jan Nitai Gaura Chandra Dekho ore bhai Shibhuvane nai Emana doyala gata Shibhuvane nai Emana doyala gata Dekho ore bhai Shibhuvane nai Emana doyala gata Poshupaki Jude Poshana Bidade Shunichara Gunagata Poshupaki Poshupaki Jude Hey go Poshupaki Jude Poshana Bidade Shunijara Gunagata Shunijara Gunagata Parama Koruna Pohudu Ijan Nitai Gaura Chandra Shangshada Shangshada Majiro Hire Puri Shepare Nahilo Asha সংসারমাঝি রহিরে পড়ে সে পারে নাহিল আশা अपन कर्म भुंजय शमन कहे लोचन दशा अपन कर्म जय शमन कहे लोचन दशा जय शमन कहे लोचन दशा परम करुण प्रभु दुई जन निताय गौर चंद Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Puribrajakaacharya Ashtatara Srimad Shala Abhay Charanarabinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Pratishtatacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kuri Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shishinitai Gaur Sitanata Pramanandi Hari Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Krishna Bhakti Rabadok Jota Shubha Shubha Karma. Shei Ek Jiber Agyan Tama Dharma. Krishna Bhakti Rabadok Jota Shubha Shubha Karma. Shei Ek Jiber Agyan Tama Dharma. Krishna Bhakti Rabadok Jota Shubha Shubha Karma. Shei Ek Jiber Agyan Tama Dharma. Krishna Bhaktir of devotional service to Krishna. Badok, hindrance. Jota, all. Shubha Ashubha, auspicious or inauspicious. Karma, activity. Sheha, that. Ek, one. Jiber, of the living entity. Agyantama, of the darkness of ignorance. Dharma, the character. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. All kinds of activities, both auspicious and inauspicious, that are detrimental to the discharge of transcendental loving service to Lord Sri Krishna, are actions of the darkness of ignorance. Purport: the poetical comparison of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda to the sun and the moon is very significant. The living entities are spiritual sparks, and their constitutional position is to render devotional service to the Supreme Lord in full Krishna consciousness. So-called pious activities and other ritualistic performances, pious or impious, as well as the desire to escape from material existence, are all considered to be coverings of these spiritual sparks. The living entities must get free from these superfluous coverings and fully engage in Krishna consciousness. The purpose of the appearance of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda is to dispel the darkness of the soul. Before their appearance, all these superfluous activities of the living entities were covering Krishna consciousness. But after the appearance of these two brothers, people's hearts are becoming cleansed, and they are again becoming situated in the real position of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada Ki. it is a great honor for me to sit here in the temple of SriSriRadhaRasbihari and Srila Prabhupada in the presence of the Antaranga Bhaktagan, the dear sevaks of SriSriRadhaRasbihari and Srila Prabhupada, and read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is a great honor for me. Mukam karati bachalam, pangam langayate girim jat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum dinatarinam, which is only possible by the mercy of the spiritual master. We're discussing, this discussion is the second verse of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is currently being discussed. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Shahodido Gaududaye Pushpabanto Chitro Shando Tamonudo. Nityananda Shahodido Gaududaye Pushpabanto, like the sun and the moon. Prabhupada's explaining the poetical comparison of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda to the sun and the moon is very significant. Because the brilliance of the Nityananda Shahodito, Nityananda Shaha, along with Nityananda Udito, he has arisen. Chaitanya and Nityananda. Gauranga Nitai, Jar Bole Ekbar, Ananta Karma Dosh Anta Hoitar. Thakur Bhaktivinoda explains in Navadip Dham Mahatmya, Gauranga Nitai, Jar Bole Ekbar. One time, if you say Gauranga Nitai, Ananta Karma Dosh, unlimited sinful reactions, anta hoitar, are destroyed. Gauranga Nitai, Jar Bole Ekbar. So they've come together. We were singing Param Karuna, Pahuduijon. Pahuduijon, these two brothers, Nitai Gauchandra. Shab, Avatar, Shar. The essence, the cream of all the avatars. Shiromani. Shiromani, the Shiromani, the jewel on the head. The crest jewel of all avatars. Kebala Ananda Kanda. Because their process is just so easy. If it were not so easy, how it could be spread all over the world. And even the Malecha Jabon class can become devotees and chant Hare Krishna and take shelter. Because it's Keval Ananda Kanda. It's simply the path of bliss. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we're discussing this. Adi Lila, chapter 1. Adi Lila, chapter 1. It begins the first verse, Chaitanya Charitamrita, 5 principles he's respecting. And then the second verse, Bande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shahorira Gaududaya Pushpavanta Chitra Shando Tamara. And the first 15 verses, actually very significant. And you will find in 1975, in Sridham Mayapur, surrounded by his devotees from all over the world, Germany, America, England, Scotland, France, sannyasis, brahmacharis. Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur, Gauda Purnima festival, 1975. He was there for 15 days. Each day in the morning, he spoke on the first 15 verses of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's very interesting lectures which we would recommend you listen to, where Srila Prabhupada he's presenting the Goswami Siddhanta, the conclusion of the Goswamis in terms of the ontology, the conclusions about the science of reality and creation according to the Goswami Siddhanta, the conclusion. And Srila Prabhupada is speaking on that topic, surrounded by his foreign devotee that he has personally reclaimed from the Western countries that no one else could do, no one else had done, and no one in the future will ever be able to compare, because Prabhupada has already done it. So it was zero. Everything has already been activated by Prabhupada. Charanduli, Prabhupada's lotus feet that crossed the various continents, and therefore subsequently it's easy to preach Krishna consciousness all over the world. You know, Mukunda Goswami, he describes in his book, Miracle on Second Avenue, that he was taking initiation. The devotees were saying that, hey, there's an initiation ceremony on Saturday. The Swami is giving initiation. And Mukunda Goswami, You coming? Yeah, I'll come. It was rather a simple process to take initiation in those days. Yeah, I'll come along. I'll check it out, see what initiation is like. So he was initiated, Mukunda Das. Prabhupada gave him the bead. They went to the haberdashery and got the beads, the red beads. They made the japamala. Such japamala, a collector's item, if you can get your hands on such one of those japamalas that were personally made by the first devotees, 1966. So Prabhupada initiated Mukunda Goswami and he gave him the name, and then he said, now pay obeisances to the picture of Lord Chaitanya. And Mukunda Goswami's response was, oh, who is Lord Chaitanya? Just understand the environment in which Prabhupada was establishing the Krishna consciousness movement. It is inconceivable how much here we're discussing the Jiva Ajnana Tama Dharma in such darkness, such darkness. So the first 15 verses of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, ending with these 3 verses that we chant, Sriman Rasha Rashambi Bangshipatata Dastita Kanamishna. These verses worshiping the 3 different deities of Vrindavan, they're the verses concluded there. Those 15 verses, subsequently, Kaviraj Goswami, he further explains, he further extrapolates on in the first chapter. Each of those verses he further explains. Now, in these 10 verses here, around verses 80, 90 to 100, he's explaining this second verse. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shahodira Gaudidai Pushpavanto Chitra Shandatamalo. And then subsequently, the explanations of those 15 verses which are given in the first chapter are further elaborated on in the first 12 chapters of Adi Lila. The first 12 chapters, where each chapter is dedicated to explaining the members of the Panchatattva. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Bhashadi, Gaur Bhaktavinda. And the science of the Panchatattva is the topic of the first 13 chapters, first 12 chapters of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Subsequently, chapters 13 to 17 of Adi Lila, they are a summary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes up to taking sannyas. So what is described in 4 chapters in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, that's 5 chapters. Yeah. Beginning chapter 13, the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then Kaviraj Goswami, each chapter, he deals with a 5-year period of Goshundar's life. The Kishore Lila, the Joban Lila, the Poganda Lila, and the Bal Lila. Each chapter is one of those 5-year period. And then that brings us to the Mahaprabhu's, including his marriage and everything. And then Mahaprabhu bringing us to Mahaprabhu's sannyas. And the Madhya Lila begins with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu having taken sannyas. So those 5 chapters of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita describe Navadip Lila. Navadip Lila, Gaur Shundar Navadip Lila. And you will see that at least 20 times within those 5 chapters, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he refers to Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur's Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. He's mentioning the pastimes that are described in great detail in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. Monodiye Shunobai Sri Chaitanya Kothar Bhakti Shange Jai Jai Lila Koilo Jota Jotar. Vrindavan Das Thakur himself recommends that we listen attentively to the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. Monodiye, with attention, Shuno Bhai, Sri Chaitanya Kothar, the descriptions of Sri Chaitanya. Bhakta Shange, Jai Jai Lila Koilo. With his devotees, Jai Jai Lila Koilo, those pastimes one after another. Jai Jai Lila Koilo, Jota Jota. As they happened. Jota Jota, that's there in Hindi, something similar. Jota Jota. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, jota jota, as it is. Jota jota. Jota jota, as it happened. So therefore, the great Acharya said, describing, as they're seeing in the heart, Vrindavan Das Thakur explained that Lord Nityananda sitting in my heart is dictating to me these pastimes. So, and Vrindavan, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, he explains that the authorized biographer of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. Krishna Lila Bhagavate Kohe Ved Vyas Chaitanya Lila Vyas Vrindavan Das. Krishna Lila Bhagavate, in the Bhagavatam, the pastimes of Krishna are delineated by Vyas Muni. Chaitanya Lila Vyas Vrindavan Das. And that same Vyas Muni, he appears as Vrindavan Das Thakur in Mamagachi. Not in Mamagachi, he appears in another place, Denur. And there he compiled Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And as Vrindavan Das Thakur, the authorized biographer, and at least 20 times Kaviraj Goswami mentions that one should hear Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat for the complete description of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Navadip Leela. So that which is described in 5 chapters in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is a summary form, that is described in the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat in 47 chapters. The Adikonda, 19 chapters, and the Madhyakonda is 27 chapters. So there's 46 chapters describing what is described in 5 chapters in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So actually, for the complete understanding and appreciation of Mahaprabhu, the Gaud avatar, Chaitanya avatar, one requires to study both Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat first. His Holiness Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur recommended the preachers in the Gaudiya Math to read Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat at least 100 times. And he personally commented on the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Srila Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. There is an interesting story, Vaishnav Shajani, that I will relate to you, that I heard from Bhavananda Prabhu, regarding Prabhupada's decision to write Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Srila Prabhupada was in Kolkata at the time, and he received a letter. This must have been in 1971 or 1972, and he received a letter from a disciple requesting permission to read the Goswami Grantha. I think Ujjala Nilomani and other works of Srila Rupa Goswami. So when Prabhupada got the letter, he became upset. And immediately he said, call the GBC to Calcutta. Everybody, call the GBC to Calcutta now. Call the whole GBC. And the secretary to Prabhupada, the whole GBC, at least Bhavananda and Jaipataka, call them. So then they were there. They were there. Authorities in Kolkata and Mayapur. So Bhavananda Prabhu and Jaipataka Swami Maharaj, they came. And Srila Prabhupada read the letter and just see. They're not satisfied with what I've already given, the books I've already given. They want to read other books. Jaipataka Swami and Bhavananda Prabhu sitting there, and then Prabhupada said, then okay. Prabhupada said, then all right, I will write some Bhakti Ras Shastra. Bhakti Ras Shastra. The Bhakti Ras Shastra. Like the Goswamis is described. Kobe Bhakti Ras Shastra Koraya Likon Chaitanya Kota Shone Chaitanya Chinton in Vrindavan, the Goswamis. Kobe Bhakti Ras Shastra Koraya Likon, they're writing the Bhakti Ras Shastra, Kobe Chaitanya Chinta, and thinking about Chaitanya Kota Shone, hearing about Lord Chaitanya Chinton, and hearing about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the Bhakti Ras Shastra. And Prabhupada inquired from his 2 advanced disciples, shall I translate Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat or Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita? Which is interesting, because it indicates that Prabhupada was considering to translate the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. So, Srila Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, he responded, "Oh, Prabhupada, you should translate Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat." Actually, at that time, when Srila Jayapataka Swami Maharaj was first sent to Kolkata, he and Achyutananda Das, the first two Western devotees preaching in India, in Kolkata, and they were staying in one Madhav Goswami Prabhupada's godbrother's temple in Kolkata. And the program there was, in the morning, the class was on Chaitanya Charitamrita, 1 hour, and in the evening, Chaitanya Bhagavat, 1 hour. That was the standard program in the Gaudiya Math, reading those books. And they were learning Bangla. Achyutananda, he reading Bangla, and they were studying those books. What a life that would have been. Imagine, only two foreign devotees learning Bengali, living in Gaudiya Math, preaching, doing programs. Jayapataka Swami and Achyutananda Swami. So, Jayapataka Swami Maharaj said Chaitanya Bhagavat. He was reading so much Navadip Leela, Chaitanya Bhagavat. And the relationship between Srila Jayapataka Swami Maharaj and Bhavananda Prabhu was that they would always disagree. So, Bhavananda Prabhu told me that he actually did not know what was Chaitanya Charitamrita or Chaitanya Bhagavat, but he said Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in any case, Prabhupada decided to write Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. There were additional reasons in addition to Bhavananda Prabhu's suggestion. And we can analyze the reasons. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, why Srila Prabhupada wrote Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because, well, actually, let us first of all consider why Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami wrote Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is described. He describes himself. He was in his village near Naihati. If you take the train from Kolkata station to Krishnanagar station, you go through Naihati, first or second station out of Kolkata on the express, Naihati. So nearby Naihati, there is a village called Jametpur. That's the birthplace of Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. You can visit that place. Sometimes Gopi Jana Ballabh, in Mayapur tourism, he'll take a tour there to the birthplace of Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, Jametpur. We recommend you visit that place. It's very special. It's very undeveloped. Nobody even knows that place. It's just one small temple and a small, the Shripat, birthplace of Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. A small temple, not very well developed or kept, old temple. Bhaktivedanta Charity Trust is working to develop that. But no one goes there. No one knows the significance of that place. Kaviraj Goswami was born there and spent most of his life there. Most of it is in his aged period of his life that he wrote Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So there was a Sankirtan festival in Jametpur at the home of Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. Kaviraj, they were Vaishnava Brahmins. He and his family were Vaishnava Brahmins. They were conducting the Sankirtan festival. And at that time, the one devotee of Nityananda Prabhu, his name was Minikaitan Ram Das. He came to that festival. Minikaitan Ram Das was such a prema bhakta that if you looked at him, if you looked into his eyes, immediately profuse tears would flow from your eyes, because he was constantly shedding tears of love of Krishna. Mahapremamoy, teho boshile angane, Mahapremamoy, full of love of Godhead. Teho boshilo angane. He was sitting in the courtyard of Kaviraj Goswami. Shakal Vaishnav taha bondile chorine. And all of the Vaishnavas were coming and falling at his feet, offering their obeisances. And the behavior of Minikaitan Ram Das was that he was the abadut. He was in ecstasy. So he would climb upon the devotees when they were offering obeisances. And sometimes he would slap them. And sometimes he would strike them with his flute. Now, Kaviraj Goswami, he had a brother who was the pujari in the temple, and his name was Gunarnava Mishra. he had great respect for Lord Chaitanya, but he did not respect Lord Nityananda. So even though all of the devotees were coming and falling down at the lotus feet of Minikaitan Ram Das, Guru Nanava Mishra did not come and show respect. So being upset, Minikaitan Ram, he announced, here we have the second Romaharshan Shuta. And he chastised Guru Nanava Mishra publicly. Here we have the second Romaharshan Shuta. Now, Srila Prabhupada comments in this connection that none of the Vaishnavas depreciate, means criticize, the mentality of Minikaitan Ram Das for criticizing Guru Nanava Mishra. Because it was not out of a personal ego. He hasn't shown respect to me. But because he was a devotee of Lord Nityananda. And he would chant the name of Lord Nityananda and everybody would become overwhelmed in ecstatic love of God. It's just hearing the name Nityananda emanate from his lips. So he was considering that Guru Nanava Mishra not showing respect to him was offending Lord Nityananda. And he was upset and he got up and he blessed all the other Vaishnavas and he was leaving. So at that time, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he chastised his brother. And he said that it's like accepting the logic of half a hen. If you accept one of the two brothers and slight the other. And in this way, you will be destroyed. So hearing this chastisement of Guru Nanava Mishra by Kaviraj Goswami, Minikaitan Ram Das, he bestowed blessings on all the Vaishnavas and he left. So that night, in a dream, Nityananda Prabhu appeared to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And Kaviraj Goswami explains that he appeared to me in the dream because I chastised my brother. I took the responsibility of chastising my brother and not simply being neutral. Oh, he does what he does. But he went out of his way, proactive. He chastised. And Kaviraj Goswami explains, because of my good behavior in chastising my brother, Nityananda Prabhu appeared to me in a dream. And Kaviraj Goswami describes the features of Nityananda Prabhu. He had a glossy blackish complexion. And like a hero, like a strong hero, like Cupid himself, with beautifully formed hands and lotus feet and eyes like lotus flowers. He's wearing a silk cloth and bedecked with a silk turban, with golden earrings and golden bangles and armlets and tinkling ankle belts, with a garland around his neck which was reaching down to his knees. His body was anointed with sandalwood pulp, and his movements, they surpassed that of a maddened elephant. Pretty nice dream to see, huh? His face was more beautiful than millions upon millions of moons. And his teeth were like reddish, like pomegranate seeds, because of chewing betel. And he moved to and fro, absorbed in ecstasy, chanting, Krishna, 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 Krishna. He seemed like a maddened lion. And all around him, buzzing around the garland, were bumblebees. Bzzz. And he was surrounded by his devotees, who were cowherd boys. Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he looks like Lord Balaram, actually. He looks just like Lord Balaram, Lord Nityananda Prabhu. And he is a cowherd boy. And he's in the mood of a cowherd boy. In Panihati, what is the significance of the Panihati Chiradahi Mahotsav? What is the significance? Nityananda Prabhu reveals his actual identity. Gopa Jati Ami, Bahut Gopa Gon Shange. I'm a cowherd boy. This Raghav Pandit, he comes. They're all set up everything there. Raghunath Das Goswami, he had arranged the pots and pots of chira and dahi. And the chira, chip rice, dohi, is the yogurt, and dhoot, milk, condensed milk, and all the pots were there, and all the Brahmins were there, and all of under. At that time, Raghav Pandit, Raghav Bhavan, one of the 4 places where Shishachinanda and Gaudhari is always present, Raghav Bhavan in Panihati. So Raghav Pandit, he comes and says, Goshai, Abhudut Goshai, I've cooked for you. We've cooked lunch for you. The rice, the sabjis, the pakoras, the potola, the shak, so many items. We've cooked rice for you. Come and take prasadam. And Nityananda Prabhu replied that now I am having a picnic with my friends here. I will come in the evening and take the anna prasad with you in the evening. And he said, Gopa Jati Ami. I'm a cowherd boy. Gopa Jati Ami. Bahut Gopagon Shonge. And I have appeared with so many other cowherd boys. Amra Shuki Pai Pulin Bhojan Ronge. And we get great happiness enjoying the picnic on the banks of the river. Even so much he's enjoying that Andantara Shtar Paramanu Jayantara Shtam. The whole universe is within every of his atoms. The whole universe is situated in each of his atoms. So there's no question of a shortage of space. He can make the whole scene expand accordingly. However, there was no room, and even some of the Brahmins that on the bank, some on the platform with Nityananda, some sitting below the platform, some on the bank, and even some of the Brahmins had to be standing submerged in the Maganga, eating the chip rice and dahi in the kheer, and submerged in the Ganga. There's shortage of space. Now, how is it possible, Nityananda? He can make the place 10 times bigger just with a moment's thought. Actually, the Brahmins standing half submerged in Maganga eating the chip, that's giving more pleasure. It's giving more pleasure to Nityananda, the cowherd boy. So he's a cowherd boy. And he kept the mood of cowherd boy. Even in the house of Shivash Thakur, where he was living, when he came to Navadip, he was fed by Malini, Shivash Thakur's wife. He couldn't feed himself. She had to spoon feed him. And he would walk around naked. He was 35 years old. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say, get dressed. And he would say, I'm hungry. So he's just like Lord Balaram. He appeared just like Lord Balaram in that dream, surrounded by the Dwadasha, the cowherd boys, Gopagan. His associates, Udaran Datta Thakur, Vrindavan Das Thakur, these 12 cowherd boy associates of Vrindavan. And so he was surrounded by his cowherd boy associates, surrounding his lotus feet. And they were chanting Krishna, Krishna. And some of them were playing horns and flutes. And dancing and singing. And they were offering betel nuts to Nitai Goshai. And they were waving their chamor. In this way he appeared in the dream. And they're special dreams. Special dreams. Actually, that would be a wonderful topic. You couldn't do one seminar. You would have to do a PhD on the dreams in Chaitanya Lila. There's dreams in Chaitanya Lila. Amazing dreams. What an amazing dream. Lord Nityananda appeared to him. And then he spoke. In the dream, he spoke. He heard the voice of Lord Nityananda. So what it sounded like, we can only imagine, but we can hear the words he spoke. Hare, Krishna Das, na koraho bhai. Oh, Krishna Das, don't be afraid. Brindavan jao, tahar sharaba, lab hoy. Brindavan jao. Go to Brindavan. Sharba lab hoy. You will attain everything. And when he ordered Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami to go to Brindavan, he waved his flute in that direction. Go to Brindavan. You will attain everything. Sharba lab hoy. You will go to Brindavan. And Kaviraj Goswami explains that he awoke. Actually, in the dream, he fell unconscious. That's a spectacular dream. You're dreaming and you fall unconscious in your own dream. He's unconscious in his dream, and then again he came back to consciousness in the dream, and then he woke up. He describes that at that time, immediately, without any delay, immediately he got up and he left for Vrindavan. And it is explained that he was aged. at that time, because it mentions later that he can't see properly and his hands are quivering. He can hardly write properly because of age. Some places it mentions he's in his 90s. So we can understand now when Chaitanya Charitamrita was written, because we'll hear that Jai Jai Nityananda, Jai Kripamoy, Jaha Hoite Painu, Rup Shanatana Shrai. By the mercy of Lord Nityananda, I got the shelter, Rup Shanatana Shrai, Rup Shanatana Shrai. I got the shelter of Rupa and Sanatan. Jaha Hoite Painu, Raghunath Mahashai, Jaha Hoite Painu, Sri Rup Asrai. By the mercy of Lord Nityananda, who sent me, who ordered me to go to Vrindavan, he didn't know what would be there in Vrindavan. He didn't know what would be there in Vrindavan. This Leela, Miniket and Ram chastising his brother, Lord Nityananda appears in the dream, go to Vrindavan. No, he went to Vrindavan. He wasn't planning on writing Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. He's ordered to go to Vrindavan. And there in Vrindavan, he got the shelter of Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami, who particularly was intimately associated with Gauranga Sri Hari, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Nilachal Dham, Jagannath Puri. Raghunath Das Goswami, we hear, is elaborately described how he attained the shelter of Shachinandan, Gaudhari in Jagannath Puri, and how he resided there. Srarupe Raghu, and how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally awarded him the shelter of Sharup Damodar Goswami, who was his personal secretary. So Sharup Damodar Goswami, you will hear, there's a description, Veda Kirtan Pastimes, chapter 11, Madhyakonda, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gauda Hoite Vaishnav Ashayat Shen, Duishata, Mahaprabhu Bhakta Shab, Maha Bhagavata. 200 devotees have come from Gaudadesh. They're awaiting on the banks of Narendra Sarobar, Mahaprabhu Bhakta Shab, Maha Bhagavata. They're all greatly advanced Vaishnavas and devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As the first arrival of the Gauda Bhaktagon to Jagannath Puri, as described in great detail by Kaviraj Goswami. Having heard Mahaprabhu had returned back from the South Indian tour, and Kala Krishna Das, by mercy of Nitai Goshai, although he was actually rejected by Gaudhari, you take this fellow away, I don't want to see him again. But Abadut Goshai, Nityananda Kripamai, he gave mercy to Kala Krishna Das. Let's give him some seva. Bhakata Sheva Paramashiti. Bhakata Sheva Paramashiti. The highest perfection is serving Vaishnavas. Prema Lotika Mul is the root of love of God. So let us send him to Navadip to inform the Navadip Bhaktagon that Gaudhari has returned to Jagannath Puri from the South Indian tour. They wanted to accompany him, Nityananda Prabhu. They wanted to accompany Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Those 4 devotees, they accompanied Gaudhari from Navadip to Nilachal Dham, Jagadananda Pandit, Damada Pandit, Nityananda Prabhu, and Mukunda Datta. They accompanied Mahaprabhu after taking sannyas all the way to Jagannath Puri. And then after delivering Shavabhama Bhattacharya Gauranga, he wanted to take the tour of South India to spread Krishna, inundate the Prem Bandha, the love of Godhead, all throughout Dakhin Bharat, the South India. And Nityananda Prabhu, he had traveled extensively through all of the Tirtha Mandali. He had done for 20 years, living Ekha Chakradam. And he said, let me accompany you, Prabhu. Let me accompany you, Prabhu. I know all the paths of the holy places in South India. The relationship between Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very interesting. Chaitanya Goshai Jare Bole Borobai. Chaitanya Goshai, he's thinking of Lord Nityananda, Jare Bole Borobai. He's my elder brother. Teho Kohe Mo Prabhu Chaitanya Goshai. And Nityananda Prabhu, he's saying that Chaitanya Goshai, he's my Prabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's saying he's my big brother. And Nityananda Prabhu, he's saying he's my Prabhu. This is the relationship that they have. Chaitanya Nitai. And Nityananda Prabhu, he wanted to accompany. Prema Beshe Pote Tumi Hobe Oche Ton. Prema Beshe. Love of God overwhelming you. Tumi hobe ocheton, pote ochet, you will fall down unconscious on the path. Who will look after all of your, what few possessions he had, an extra set of cloth, kamandolu. Who will look after you when you fall unconscious on the path and love of God it? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I am indebted to you for bringing me to Jagannath Puri. You have done a great service. But my only possession in this world was that sannyas danda. And the first opportunity you got to touch, first chance you got, you touched a sannyas danda, you broke it and threw it in the river. So I will travel alone because you will not allow me to perform the duties of the sannyasi. And Jagadananda, he wants me to sleep on the comfortable bed, and he's bringing the fragrant oils, and so I will go alone. Abhayam Shatra Sangshudhi Jnana Yoga Vibhashita. 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Duties of a sannyasi. Abhayam. Fearlessness. No plan. No arrangement for the next meal. That's sannyas. No arrangement for the next meal. No consideration for where I will sleep tonight. I've forgotten that. I've given up that effort. It will come by the Lord's mercy. That's sannyas. So Mahaprabhu wanted to perform that type of exemplary renunciation as he toured and traveled. And because he was a sannyasi, he was able to influence the great Vaishnav scholars and acharyas of South India. He was able to get the audience and beginning from Ramananda Roy to Venkat Bhatta, Srirangam, to the Tattavadis, Udupi, and he was able to establish Krishna consciousness and spread Krishna consciousness in that way in the tour. So he went alone. And he actually ordered Nityananda and those 4 associates to remain in Jagannath Puri until he returned. And so then he returned, and then immediately no one knew. No one knew. No news. No news of no Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, nothing. No one knew. It's just he's gone and that's it. And the devotees suggest viraha bhav, separation. What to speak of the Navadip Bhaktagon. So they sent Kala Krishna Das, and he informed all those devotees came from Navadip, headed by Advaita Acharya. Shivananda Sain organized. They all came, first arrival. And subsequently, every year they came to Jagannath Puri and spent half of their lives. It took 1 month to walk to Puri from Navadip. Not just Navadip, the other Adi Shaptagram, Kulinagram, the other villages, Gauda Bhaktagon from Bengal, where Mahaprabhu's devotees were living. And they all gathered together at the house of Advaita Thakur, and under the leadership of Shivananda Sain, they journeyed to Puri every year. It took 1 month to go. It took 1 month to return. They remained there 4 months. That's 6 months. Half of their life they gave for enjoying in Rathajacha Anushthan festival, participating with Gaudhari in Jagannath Puri every year. So Nityananda Prabhu, he was already there. He had remained in Jagannath Puri. So in any case, Kaviraj Goswami, he was sent to Vrindavan. He didn't know what to expect, but Nityananda Prabhu said, you will attain everything. And then, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That was my point. Yes, Swarup Damodar. Even before those devotees had come from Gaudadesh, it mentions that the news had spread. Paramananda Puri Goshai, he had seen Gaudhari in South India. Paramananda Puri Goshai, also a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. He had seen Gaudhari in South India, and he knew that he was returning to Jagannath Puri. So he went to Puri. Brahmananda Bharati, he also came. Swarup Damodar, he was Purushottam Brahmachari in Navadip. When Mahaprabhu took sannyas, he couldn't tolerate his separation. He went to Varanasi. He took sannyas. Although he remained in the white dress, Swarup Damodar Goshai, he was sannyasi. And then immediately he journeyed to Jagannath Puri. Even before Mahaprabhu had returned from South India, they were already waiting there. So Swarup Damodar, he was present for all of Mahaprabhu's Jagannath Puri Leela. And he was Mahaprabhu's secretary. And he kept a diary. Kadacha, he kept a diary of all of Mahaprabhu's Puri pastimes. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he directed Raghunath Das Goswami to take shelter of Swarup Damodar At that time, Raghunath Das Goswami, he learnt and he memorized the Swarup Goswami's Kadacha, which described, although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had left, Raghunath Das Goswami, he went to Vrindavan. He was completely an ocean of knowledge in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, having heard everything from Swarup Damodar. Swarupe Raghu. In this way, Raghunath Das Goswami was residing in Vrindavan on the banks of Radha Kund, and still we can visit the sacred place of his Bhajan Kutir and Samadhi Mandir, in such a special place. And just a short distance further on, you can see the ashram of Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, where he resided at Radha Kund and heard from Raghunath Das Goswami the pastimes of the later pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in this way compiled Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita on the request of the Goswamis, because the Chaitanya Bhagavat was focusing on the Navadip Lila, and you'll find that the sannyas of Mahaprabhu is beginning in the Madhya Lila. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, Mahaprabhu takes sannyas, and Sakshi Gopal goes to Puri, beginning in Madhya Lila. So what's described in Madhya Lila and Anta Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu after sannyas, that's briefly described in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, 10 chapters. Mahaprabhu's sannyas and Mahaprabhu's Puri Lila, only 10 chapters. So the Goswamis in Vrindavan, they wanted to have revealed Mahaprabhu's pastimes after taking sannyas. And in Jagannath Puri, a few pastimes are there in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Puri pastimes, a few. But no comparison to the Chaitanya Charitamrita with its extensive pastimes. So in this way, the Chaitanya Charitamrita is augmenting the established biography of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu given by Vrindavan Thakur. And in addition, the Madhya Lila of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, it explains the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Kaviraj Goswami is giving a summary of the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the beginning of a Madhya Lila, and he mentions that Taramodde Choi Botchor Gamon Agamon, within that 48 period, Taramodde Choi Botchor, there was a 6-year period, Gamon Agamon, which was coming and going. Gamon Agamon, what? From Jagannath Puri. Gamon Agamon, Kabu Dokin, Kabu Gaul, Kabu Vrindavan. Kabu Dokin, he went on the South Indian tour and returned to Puri. Kabu Gaul, he went to Bengal again, and he took bath in Maganga and gave relief to the Gauda Bhaktagon, Shachi Mata, and he inspired Rupa and Sanatan Goswami to give up their service in the government and go to Vrindavan. And then he didn't carry on to Vrindavan, he returned to Jagannath Puri. And then the actual journey to Vrindavan through Jharikand. So this is Gamon Agamon, coming and going. And Kaviraj Goswami explains that the Madhya Lila is the most important section of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, because Mahaprabhu's teachings are found in the Madhya Lila. Specifically, we'll see the teachings that Srila Prabhupada summarized in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, which is summary of Madhya Lila. And there you'll find, in Madhya Lila, you'll find the teachings to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Roy, Rupa and Sanatan, and Prakashananda Saraswati, which constitute the philosophical teachings spoken by Sri Sachinandan Gaudhari, his own lips, as he's instructing these various key devotees in his mission. And in this way, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita establishes the doctrinal, philosophical conclusions of Sri Chaitanya Avatar, and in that way is considered the preeminent work on the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we can understand for this reason, Srila Prabhupada desired to translate and give the world in such an extraordinary manner, which in itself is an extraordinary lila, how Srila Prabhupada produced and published Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And now we have the great fortune in our movement to be able to hear, relish, and distribute the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita for the deliverance of humanity at large. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions? Yes, Mataji. please provide Mataji with the microphone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. At the beginning, when you were describing the dream of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, you mentioned that Nityananda Prabhu appeared to him in a blackish complexion. So I was wondering if you could elaborate on this, because
Yeah, I cannot elaborate more, but it mentions there blackish complexion. So yeah, thank you. I can't elaborate more on that. There were other questions, yes?
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for this nectarine narration of the Gaur Lila. Whenever I see you, your external physique appears to be foreigner. The hardware of your body is from foreign, like Australia, but the software is Bengali. Completely, it's Navadip Vasi, like narration that you make always, and it's a feast for our ears. So in the context, I have the question that we chant this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but in the entire text of Chaitanya Charitamrut, it's difficult to find Chaitanya Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Even in Lochandas Thakur Chaitanya Mangal, I believe it's not there. And in Chaitanya Bhagavat, only once Vrindavan Das Thakur mentions Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So why Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, while compiling such a great literature, did not mention the full Hare Krishna Mahamantra? It's always there, Krishna Krishna Kaila, Hari Hari Kaila, Ram Krishna Hari Kaila. Why so?
Because Kaviraj Goswami, he is actually hesitant. He's hesitant to repeat that which has already been established. He mentions that. And therefore, you'll find examples like in the Gaya Lila, he doesn't, all the things that Vrindavan Das Thakur says, he doesn't repeat, but just the things he doesn't say, he says. So that's my response. That because it's established in Chaitanya Bhagavat. I refute what you say, not emphasized. A shlok nam boli lai mahamantra shalo nam baitra shaka a tantra. He says these 16 words, these 16 names, these 32 syllables. A tantra, you don't need to repeat it. He's saying this is the process. And even in the Bal Lila, when they're chanting Hare Krishna, as mentioned, they're chanting Hare Krishna, then he would stop crying. So it's already established. So Vrindavan Das Thakur, by Vrindavan Das Thakur, that the Mahaprabhu in that meeting with Tapan Mishra, he's explaining everything. He mentions twice Hare Krishna, Kali Santarana Upanishad, he quotes, Mahaprabhu quotes. And he personally says, A shlok nam bori lai, Mahamantra. He says, Mahamantra, that's it. That's enough. He says, this is the process, this is the conclusion. And then the other occasions are there where he mentions the Hare Nama Krishna Yadhavaya Namaha Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudhan, which Srila Prabhupada describes as another form of the Mahamantra. And he says that we should chant it. He says it as a purport, Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, we're already familiar with these two mantras, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasti Gaur Bhaktavinda, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And he says, now we should add the additional two lines, Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudan, Bas. That is Kirtan, according to what Prabhupada has given us. But so many things we'll do in the Kirtan, even not doing those things. And Prabhupada said specifically in Mayapur, this mantra should be chanted constantly. So that's it. Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudhan, and Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Go to Vihita Kirtan. This is the approved kirtans of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they're there, you will find them, and they're sufficiently established in both Sri Chaitanya Bhagavad and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Hare Krishna. In the same line, I have heard that Prabhupada mentions in some purport of Chaitanya Charitamrut that one should chant this during Mangalarti also, this Haraya Nama Krishna. Is it correct?
I can't remember if it mentions during Mangaladi, but you can chant. You can chant because it's non-different from the Mahamantra.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Prabhuji, apart from this, I have a question from Gaurlila only. Can I ask Srivas Thakur's question? As we see in the Mahaprakash Leela, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives mercy to Dukhi, the maid servant of Srivas Thakur. First of all, she was the recipient of the mercy in the Mahaprakash Leela. So, and then he says, whoever is serving Srivas Thakur or who is connected to Srivas Thakur is very dear to me. But we say when there were nocturnal pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Srivas Angan, the doors were closed and nobody was allowed. That time the Srivas Thakur's own mother-in-law, she was hiding and she was seeing or having darshan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Mahaprabhu did not allow her to see that, although she was mother-in-law of Srivas Thakur.
Yeah, okay. Vaishnavera Kriya Mudda Bhujata Kibita. Who can understand? Who can understand? But an interesting topic. We would like to do some research. But Ram Prabhu, you have a comment on this? Interesting topic.
No, I don't have comment on this. I have a question.
Okay.
Just a small comment. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentions that Madan Mohan dictated Chaitanya Charitamrita to him. That was very nice. I have a question. Is there any significance Lord Nityananda liking Chivada?
Liking?
Dahi Chivada?
Dahi Chira. I don't know. Yeah, it's a fascinating topic. I would like to ask the exalted Vaishnavas, those who can see these things, that well, why the Chira Dahi is particularly liked. Yeah, it's fascinating, but it's an important festival and very ecstatic festival, and they're the items that Nityananda Prabhu wanted to be served.
I am from Andhra Pradesh.
আমার মনে হয় সময় এখন শেষ হয়ে গিয়েছে. The time is finished.
The Chaitanya Charitamrita South India Yatra, I wonder always why the places are not mentioned chronologically. Because Karnool is somewhere and then he goes to some other place and
Well, yeah, there's a few statements that Kaviraj Goswami says that I am only mentioning a few places, but Mahaprabhu visited thousands of temples. He said thousands of holy places he visited. So it's not so important that we have the geographical information, but rather the philosophical and the leela that happens. So he's presenting it from the point of view of the leelas, that astounding leelas, and rather than the historical chronological path that he took.
Did you ever meet Mahaprabhu and Nityananda? Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami? Did he have darshan of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda?
I have not heard it described.
He was old and...
Yeah, he was old, yes, but I haven't heard it described. He's not mentioned as another topic that would have to be researched. But Vrindavan Das Thakur, he was not taking the darshan of Mahaprabhu. Vrindavan Das Thakur, Nityananda Prabhu, he saw it. Nityananda Prabhu. So they're topics that have to be further researched. I'm sorry, I can't give the answer today. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shamaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Shishi Nitai Gaur Shitanat Pramanandi Hari Hari Bo.